Well, here we are on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, getting ready to go do another float. It's been a couple weeks, which is longer than I had desired, but they had a little COVID contact thing, so they shut the studio down for 10 days, which, I'm not particularly mad about. I get it. Anyway, a few days after my last session, maybe 4 or 5 days, I don't remember, I got shucked out of my seat of self like an oyster. And I spent half of a day just completely living as the player on the field. And it was so miserable. I can't believe that that's what every minute of every day felt like for almost 40 years. It's scary. But since then, I've gotten back to what cognitively feels like the seat of self, and I've had some moments where I've been able to feel the sensation of chi or shakti or whatever the hell it is flowing, but it hasn't been regular or consistent or at will. So it's cool to be able to see what is on the other side, and then realize that you've got to walk over a rainbow, and so you got to find the start or the end of the rainbow, and then you've got to find a way to walk on light. I don't know, I guess that's the best I can do in terms of an analogy of what the hell I'm trying to accomplish with these floats. But yeah, let's get weird. So this was definitely different than last time, but not radically. Different parts were more interesting. Let's see, how should I say? I spent less time with the music this time, which gave me less access to energy and more time struggling with my mind, with my thoughts. So that was interesting. Also, I never felt the full surrender that I did last time. I could feel myself holding on to something, and I don't know why or what. But I was thinking that, the first video I recorded, which is likely one that you might have seen before this, I was just coming off 2 weeks off of work for the holidays, and I had just been so relaxed. I had no responsibilities. I was unplugged. I'd been at my new job for like a week, so there was just nothing weighing on me in that arena, which is normally a huge stressor, if you will, or energy manipulator. And so I think being removed from all that, I was at a different level of resonance. And I think that's kind of what it is, because right after that time, I don't know, a few days later, I keep using this analogy, I got shucked out of my seat of self like an oyster. I think I actually said that in the intro video. And it was at a time when I was dealing with a bunch of shit at work suddenly. My boss had just been fired. And, I'd been at the company for only a couple of weeks at that point. All 3 of the accounts that I had some form of fire's the wrong word, just urgent situations that had to be dealt with. They were all time sensitive, and some of which involved my CEO, some of which involve Jane Lauder of Estee Lauder. And it was just it was so much coming at me at once. Didn't know where to go because I've got so little context there. And I had a friend group chat going that I was trying to explain my experience and how it had sort of shaped how I was seeing the world differently. And I was failing to convey what I wanted to, and I was clearly causing pain to my friends by what I was saying. And so being unable to deal with that pain, instead of letting it flow through and just feel that and own it and apologize, the protective me snatched that, and I think that's what like dropped me out. Because I think when you put the walls around this energy, I think it ends up acting like a counterweight on a hot air balloon. So you've snatched it, but now you've got to tow this thing around. It pulls you down. And when you think about yogis and Kundalini specifically, going from the base chakra through the crown, and you having to like sort of unlock those knots along the way for energy to flow all the way through efficiently. I think the analogy that's starting to build for me is all of the samskaras, all the traps of energy are weighing down this sort of air balloon of consciousness, I guess. And what level of energy do you have access to regularly? And when I turned on the music, I know that's not a super smooth transition, but I'm going with it. When I turned on the music in the float, I could feel that the vibration in the water was doing something to whatever it is in my body that allows energy to flow. And I started thinking about it like little beads that have an aperture that can open and close. And the more, and maybe that's what the samskaras are. Is these little beads trap the energy and the apertures just close. And so if you imagine inside your body was just full of closed beads, you could still get air through there, right? Because the beads are going to create an imperfect seal. And so it doesn't kill you per se, even if you're all the way closed. But I think the more those open, the more just joy you can feel at any second, because it can just flow through. So anyway, so I think I had already sort of opened the apertures on the ones that were just readily available to be accessed, either because they've already been opened or, I'd worked through some stuff early on in the session. And so I think the apertures were open, but I couldn't feel the chi, the Shakti coming like through my body. But then I turned on the music, and I know this is a fucking crazy analogy to try and explain what happened in a plane of perception that I can't even prove is real. And I'm trying to anthropomorphize it as like a fucking plastic bead. Anyway, it wouldn't be plastic, it would be metal, because I also think it has attraction. We'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, so it was something like the music, like the wave of the music, the vibration, shook it just enough that like they wanted to align. The energy's coming through so hard, like it wants to pull them open. That's like the natural state, full aperture open, all pointed in the same direction. And the music, it felt like was vibrating them so that like the open ones could just join the parallel position of the others. And it was almost instantaneous. It was within a few seconds that I felt it. I could feel it rushing through. And I can't even believe I'm talking about this shit. I frankly can't. It is so unlike anything I could have ever imagined that I would be into. It's absolutely bananas. Anyway, that's all I got for now. But that might not be nothing. I got my next float on Tuesday. Today is Saturday. So that'll be cool too, to see them that tightly bound together. I haven't done them that frequently before. I actually am getting, I think I mentioned last time, I got an unlimited package, so I will, I'll see what 2 a week does. And I mean, frankly, if this keeps improving my life the way that it has been, I can't see any reason not to do this every day, because the gains of just pure joy, to be able to just walk around and just be in childlike wonder at everything you see, and to feel that, to feel how it must have felt as an unobstructed toddler, just like, wow, oh, cool. And just to, you know, every night now I walk into my kids' rooms and I just sit with them and just appreciate how amazing it is that Meg bridged a consciousness into this fucking dimension twice. And just to see how beautiful they are in every way, in their flaws and everything. It's a great mirror for unconditional love, because I think once you feel it for your kids, or I mean, you could technically feel it for anyone, but I think it's probably easiest and most natural to feel it for your biological children. It creates a mental map for you to be able to feel it for yourself eventually. Because I just don't know that once the samskaras start collecting, that there's a natural, that it would be a natural state to be self-loving. I just don't think that's possible. Oh, something I wanted to talk about that I forgot. After the music was playing and I started to experience the energy flow, once I was conscious of the experience, it took me out of 80% of the energy. I could still feel it, but it wasn't flowing right. And I realized that it was my mind thinking was stealing energy. It was either stealing energy or it was stealing whatever magnetism I was using to align the beads, to use that analogy, right? With the open apertures. It's like whatever I needed to do that, to keep them aligned, got wasted when I was thinking. And I think that that's what meditation is all about, is removing whatever that, you know, and I think it might even be beyond the energy, right? Like whatever the other thing is that you, from whatever the singularity, dimension, insertion, whatever the fuck, is using to manipulate the energy and the containment for the, well, maybe it's just containment for the energy, actually. Anyway, that all senses require that energy, like whatever that is. So that's why the float tank is such an incredible bridge for me, because I don't have gravity. I don't smell anything. I can't feel anything because of the temperature. I hear very little. Occasionally, you know, I'll hear something like a big loud truck will drive by or something. I can hear very faintly, but you know, generally speaking, there's just no visual stimulus. So there's just so much less competing for that. And so when those energies aren't being used, I think it's easier. Well, first of all, you then have more energy to command the mind. Because if you think the mind is just another sense or utility just like sight, smell, touch, blah, 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 and so are emotions, then the less of whatever that is that you use to keep all that under control, the more of it you have in reserve to deploy in any moment, then the more in control of that you're going to be. And so to be able to sit like that monk who set himself on fire on the Rage Against the Machine cover, that's obviously not what it was for. You get my point. That's the ultimate control. When you command all of whatever that is at will. You decide. You, the real you, are in control of everything. Every single thing. And I felt myself fall asleep like 3 times when I was in there, which is part of why I didn't have as much time for the music part. And unlike when I go from awake to asleep in real life or whatever, walking around, I felt no state change. I felt absolutely no state change whatsoever. But I knew that it had happened. I knew that it had because I was paying attention the whole time. And that was fucking weird. And that raises some interesting questions. So I'll leave you with that one. Tune in next week. Just kidding. Half kidding. I'm going to keep doing this because if nothing else, it's a great journaling exercise for me. So, bye.